The second game we have on this episode is, as I was just informed, is Jorvik.
Yes.
Not Jorvik, which I think I've said millions of times, or at least in the beginning of the episode too.
There's a J in there.
Jorvik.
Yeah, there's a J. I think it's pronounced with a Y, though.
Speaking American, Matt.
Yeah, use it. Say it the way we say it. Designed by Stefan Feld, and the artist is Margielsky. And y'all probably Stronghold games, I'm assuming?
The version we had, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So it did come out previously.
Yes.
So this is kind of like a second edition, I think.
Fair enough. Eric's going to explain this one.
All right. So it's a 2 to 5 player game where players play as a Viking tribe gathering up influence over 4 seasons. It's more of an auction bidding type of game, not a fighting, which you would kind of think of a Viking type of game would be. There are 2 ways to play. There's like a Carl version and a Jarl version, which is, I'm going to be talking more of the Jarl version, which is more of the not simplified way to play it.
Yeah, go over the full version, and then we talk about what you take out, because then people will know.
Yeah. So there's 4 phases that keep on repeating until you come to this last Fight of the Pick card. These Fight of the Pick cards come out where picks come, they attack you, or attack everybody. Whoever has the most defense gets VP. Whoever has the least defense loses that many VP. So the first phase of the game is, the first phase is a supply phase where you're putting out all these cards. You're putting out cards on the bottom row, and you're putting cards out on the top row for the Jarl version. And then you go to a demand phase where you're bidding on these cards. One player to the next, on the bottom, there's these little slats. And if you want a certain card, you're going to put your worker or your Viking there. If someone else wants that card as well, they're going to put it under your worker.
Kind of like a ladder. You're on the top rung, and then everybody that comes past you goes a rung below.
Right. And what that does, because then the next phase is basically the buying phase. On the bottom row of cards, how that's going to work is the first person that went there gets to decide if they're going to buy that card. The cost to them is how many people or workers there are in that card slot. So if there's 3 guys there, it's going to cost them 3 silver. He can decide if he's going to play it or buy it or not. So if he buys it, he obviously pays for it. He gets that card. If he decides not to buy it, he leaves. The second person there now has that choice to buy it or not. And now there's only 2 guys there, so he has to buy it for 2 or leave. There's 1 guy left. He gets to buy it for 1 or he leaves. You do that for the bottom row. With the top, it's a little bit different. You're basically taking that card and you're putting it way on the top row, which is your card to buy or not. So when you're bidding throughout the round, another person could get a card on the top row and reserve that card behind yours. So how the top row works out is kind of the same on the bottom row. Is how many reserved cards there are on the top row is how much you're going to pay for that card. So if you're the first to go up there and there's 2 other players behind you, kind of works the same way. You're either going to pay 3 or you're not going to take that card. So after the demand and the buy phase, you're going to load all the cards that you did win. You're also going to take a income. So you would take 2 silvers if you did get something. If you didn't get something, you would get 3 silver this round. So the cards that you can load change. There are cards that give you resources. There's cards that let you spend your resources that you do get into more coin. Or there's what else is there? There's cards that basically you have to get specific resources to get VP at the end of the game. Yeah, and then there's also defensive cards that will help you fight off the picks. So you play through all these 4 seasons. The cards get a little bit better. They're pretty similar until you hit the last picks.
Excuse me.
That's about it.
And then if you play the Carl version, you eliminate the top
row
section of bidding. So you don't just claim the card and then buy it for how many people claim cards. You only do the bottom where it's just those ladders for each.
And it does remove some more complex cards.
Yeah. And it takes a lot. It takes like half the game out, basically. Matt, did you watch a video on this one?
Yes.
Did they talk about the other version?
Yeah. It was the Tom Vassell video. He said there was no point to do that.
To do the second part?
No, to take out the top part.
Oh, fair enough.
He didn't understand why you would do that, but
We played it both ways.
This is going to be an interesting conversation.
really,
Because, spoiler alert, I do not like the original game, and I like the smaller
Yarrow
game.
version.
you like the smaller one
the
better.
Carl version, which we did play the Yarrow version first, and then we took out all the cards, and then we played the Carl version. I'm gonna go opposite of Tim and say I did like the Yarrow version. It did feel a little long playing it through the first time, so I think going back and playing it the same day, the Carl version kind of streamlined it, made it a quicker game. And maybe that's why.
Well, let's talk about the Yarrow version first.
Preference to
and
it.
what we like and dislike. I didn't hate everything about it, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't like either version. So, what did you like about at least the Yarrow version?
I did like that there was a couple more cards in there that was different. There's some
not
unique
the
cards.
difference between the two. I'm just saying
Oh.
about the game.
Sure. Well, about the differences between them.
No,
or
I
just
mean
the
just
game
like
in
the game
general?
itself.
Oh.
What did you like about Jorvik?
I did like it had a unique bidding mechanic in it that I haven't really seen in a different game. I wouldn't say I liked the game a lot, but I did enjoy playing it. It was not my favorite Stefan Feld game. It did really feel like a Stefan Feld game. So, yeah.
Anything else, or is that it? The
No.
bidding?
Yeah, just about the bidding. I mean, that's the majority of the game.
That's fair.
Yeah, you are majorly, you're either bidding, deciding what you're gonna buy, and then the loading part of it's, pretty simple.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of agree with you. The bidding is really cool. It's really fun. For the most part, it works. That is 99% of the game is placing a meeple underneath a card, and then once everybody's done so, you buy things.
Right.
And
I think why you didn't like the UR version, it was longer and it's a little bit repetitious. There, from season to season, the cards might get a little better, but it's pretty much the same.
yeah,
You're doing the same stuff. It's a little bit better. It gives you 4 VP instead of 2 VP, or
yeah, it would be like if you played No Thanks, and I'm not going to talk about it if you've never played it, but if played No Thanks, which is like a 15-minute game with it has 35 cards minus 9, so it's like 25 cards essentially. So you play like 25 bidding rounds, but they're really fast. Sometimes the rounds go instantly. So the game itself is like 15 minutes. But it'd be like playing No Thanks for like an hour and a half. One game. I mean, I don't know if that sounds fun to anybody, but for me, I was like, this is a very simple mechanism that's drawn out very far.
No, you're pretty much doing the same thing over and over, right?
You do the exact same thing over and over. And at the end, I was like, because you briefed on the other version, but you didn't really explain how it worked. And so when we were done, I was like, wow, that was 5 times longer than I actually thought it would be. So if it was less seasons, because you take an A deck, B deck, C deck, and a D deck and stack them, and that's the game, and you play the whole deck. If it was 2, it would be cooler. The other thing is I just felt like there's too many cubes. There's 8 different minors and
right.
3 different majors.
In the Yarrow version,
Rares.
there's 4 or 5 ones that have 9 cubes.
I think it was 5 common and 3 uncommon.
3
Or
rares
rare.
that had 3 cubes each.
Yeah, and the commodity ones where you can sell them for gold or victory points or silver or victory points are only in season 1, season A. So I don't know. At the end, I was like, wow, that was really long for such a simple mechanism that you do over and 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 over again on each turn.
Right.
And Eric's like, well, the other version's like this. And I was like, okay, play it. I thought it was awesome. I'm not saying it's amazing, but if they focused on that and which takes away the whole top part of the board, I am sad about that. I don't know why you do want to take that away, because it is the 50% of the mechanisms.
But it shortened the game for you.
But it shortened the game to a length that I thought was enjoyable.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm
If
not
it was
opposed to playing it again.
length with the Yarrow version, I think that would be a happy medium.
Well, that's what I said originally. I was like, that didn't need to be 4 seasons worth of cards.
Right.
I mean, it was
It's a
10
pretty-
rounds too long.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deck that you go through.
Yeah. So it was a lot longer. If they would have shortened it or did something else, but not sacrifice any of the actual components, I probably would have liked it a lot more. although I didn't hate it. I just recognize that it's way longer than what it needed to be.
And the cards that I guess what was never explained, the cards that you get, is that like a one-time action, or are you building like a tableau and you get to do it every round? Or
there are some cards, of course in the ER version there's one-time effect cards. There's some that happen as soon as you buy it, and then there's other ones that maybe give you a one-time ability, some Loki cards that give you a one-time ability sometime in the game.
Gotcha.
In a certain phase you can use this card once.
Okay.
But otherwise, a lot of it stays on the bottom, and you can interact with it usually during the loading phase. Give it resources to get more silver, or VP, or load it onto those cards for end game scoring.
And I felt like the other thing was interesting is money is very scarce.
Yes.
Right.
And like you don't get a lot of money to do this bidding with. So
I think you had like 5 workers. So and realistically, you can bid on 5 different things.
But you're not going to buy
your income
them all.
is 2, or 3.
Did y'all just play with you two?
No,
we played 3.
Yeah, with
3 people. Okay.
Mm.
So it's okay. I would play it again, especially if you wanted to try it out or whatever. I don't think it's a game I would necessarily buy, but I didn't hate it, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. I just felt like it was too long for such a linear one mechanism that you're doing over and over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm usually not the best at auction and
Bidding
building
games.
games.
You bid too
And
much.
it looked really repetitious to me, so it really doesn't interest me at all.
What did Tom think about it? I don't think I ever.
He liked it a lot. I think the only thing he said about it was the fighting. He just got to where he ignored it. I don't know if that was viable for you all, but
it could be. Although if you didn't do it at all, because basically whoever has the most defense gets 2 VP. Whoever has the least
1, 2,
negative
3, or
2.
4.
Right.
Because
then the next one
one's
comes
in
out.
the first season, 2's in the second, 3, and then 4.
Mm-hmm.
And you either get, if you win, yeah, you're right. You either get that full amount or you lose that full amount.
A lot of times you might not maybe try to go for it all the way, but you maybe don't want to be last.
It's not about out swimming the fastest swimmer.
Mm-hmm. Because it does
shark,
spread
whatever
that,
it is.
the VP by 8 points at the end.
I'm kind of like Bush when it comes to talking about like sayings, because I'm like, it's about
He was good at butchering sayings.
yeah. So I don't know. I'll try it again. I wasn't like amazed with it, but I did like the shorter version. Although if we played it a few times with the same people, maybe it could be a little bit better. But I just felt like I can't see it. What did you think the time length would be if you played it with a couple people that have played it?
It wasn't actually very long. I think even the full version, it was an hour and a half.
Maybe it just seemed 5 times longer because it was like I'm doing the same thing over and over.
Because you are, like you said, repeating the same steps over and over again.
It says 45 to 90 minutes. I think we played it it was an hour and a half after explanation with 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know how it would get quicker, honestly, with 3, like even with the same people. Now that I think about it. I mean, what are you doing that's different?
Well, you don't have to.
You would have a better score.
Yeah, you would know all the cards up front. And for a lot of the cards, we would, reference them when they came out. Like the Loki cards were all different, so you did have to reference them when they came out. So that added some time.
Yeah, that was a very small amount of time.
Right. So it might knock it down to maybe hour 15 for 3.
3. And the game plays to 5. Could you imagine playing this game with 5? That is way too long for a bidding game that has one straightforward bidding
change
mechanism.
A lot, right? So the bidding mechanic is pretty nice because you can go in and be like, well, I don't really want this card, but I don't want him to. Yeah, I want him to make it more expensive for him.
Well, it is. I do like the bidding mechanism. I don't hate it. I like it, but it's like that's all it has. The other thing is like you said, you can go in and make it more expensive, and if everybody passes, then it comes to you. You're like, oh, I got it for $1.
Right. I'll take it for $1. Right.
Yeah, but people know that you're going to get it for $1, so they'll spend 2 just to stop you.
Right.
So it's an interesting bidding mechanism. The other half of the board is the same thing with a slight variant.
Right, because you can reserve that card, which is kind of good and bad. You might not even need it, but someone else does. So you just go up there and take it
and burn it. So it's a cool thing, but it doesn't add. It's not like earlier when I said 50% of the mechanisms. It's 50% of the board, but it really is just one other bidding spot. It's not multiple bidding spots. kinda. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's okay. I don't know why it has a 6.9, but I don't know.
Because that dude.
Because it's Stefan Feld.
Yes.
It's probably artificially inflated. I love Stefan Feld. Obviously, we did a top 5. He was Eric and I's top number 1.
Yes.
But I don't know. I might place this one alongside Merlin. Like, it's on the low end of my Felds. But anyway, I'll play it again with you, Matt. We're going to play it again.
We'll play it. All right.
Eric, bring it tomorrow.
All right.
Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, overall, like that is not one of my favorites.
That's fair. That is Jorvik, not pronounced Jorvik.